What do you think? Can I turn these used clothes into the award-winning pants that Kelly designed? I've got upcycling tricks that you can't learn anywhere else, and not one, but two slightly traumatized sewing machines. Oh, honey, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure this out. And a trusty bottle of ibuprofen. But I'll just walk you through what happened from the very beginning. Before I could make Kelly's pants, I wanted to test the design out on myself. I'm so glad I made my tester version because I learned a ton. Like, you really do need a knit stitch or you'll pop those seams and have holes in the bum, the knees, anywhere you curve a lot. Also, I realized my favorite trick of using my finger as seam allowance is not precise enough if you want your chevrons to line up, which I do. So there you go, 2 hot tips from the test version. I made these, I made these are the pants that I made for me, you. Once I had the basic design down, it was time for the real deal. Kelly's sketch was based on some double knit rayons, which are super soft and comfy. We love that about them. We love that they could be made sustainably, and they're definitely compostable, but they are very opinionated. And a little difficult, you know what I'm saying? A much easier option would be a heavyweight t-shirt fabric that doesn't stretch as much. I found this awesome skirt with stripes on it. I thought I had a ton of fabric. By the time I cut so the stripes went in the right direction, so the seams didn't interfere with the design, and maybe so I could compensate for a couple pieces I cut backwards, I really had to scramble. It was quite a puzzle. And in a classic upcycling moment, I sacrificed this shirt that was too small for me. I'm listing all the steps here, but I am not going in depth. I have plans for a 7-part series where we do everything from fabric choices to pro finishes, and it will take you from a beginning sewer to someone who can upcycle and rework clothes into their own designs. And it's full of hacks for upcyclers that they don't teach you in fashion design school. Pattern drafting is the part where your creative idea goes from the page to paper. It's part math, part art, full of engineering. You are going to be so seriously impressed with yourself when you start customizing your patterns. And this is the key to that. It is the thing that empowers you to do your own style lines and sculptural design with your garments. And what am I doing here? I'm adjusting for a stretch waistband instead of a gathered one. I'm making the crotch curve extension a little longer in the back because it's oddly the same length. I'm making the legs wider. I'm making the length of the pants shorter since Kelly's petite. I'm adding my style lines. I'm also giving it pockets because every garment should have pockets. Even dresses should have pockets, little secret ones. And I'm also adding seam allowance to everything. Everything needs seam allowance, and keeping track of it is mission impossible. I mean, a mission, Stacy. Yes, you can do this too. If I can do this, you can do it. Okay, the fabric puzzle. Now, I channel my friend Andrew, who taught me how to play Tetris, and I keep track of what goes where. It's a whole thing. I label everything. I label inside and outside, especially fabrics where the inside and outside look the same, because otherwise I might accidentally flip it. And then I make a map, because I'm that detailed. And my map has all kinds of fun places like the land of mysterious disappearances. I also used paper seam allowances. This is an awesome hack for when you need super accurate sewing, like if you're lining up chevrons, but you don't quite have enough fabric for the seam allowance, like you can see you have enough fabric to get to the stitch line. So I put a little piece of paper in there and I use that to hold the exact measurement for me. After a few epic days of cutting and measuring, it was finally time to sew, and my machine said, let's just say my machine and I had a little disagreement about thread and how much fabric should be stuck under the presser plate. And by disagreement, I mean I had to rethread my machine 17 times. I begged, I pleaded, I used scrap paper to stabilize, I changed needles, I changed thread, I changed the bobbins, I changed my hair color, and nothing worked. See how crafty I was about teaching you how to troubleshoot your sewing machine? You probably didn't even know that that was what we were doing just now. Here's a quick pop quiz. So I switched to my backup machine. Come on, Betsy, you can do it. And she promptly made the scariest noise that I've ever heard. It was me versus the pants. I'm gonna win. And this is where you go, hey, the stitch is not quite perfect, but it's upcycled. It's okay. Perfection is the enemy of good. The pants started to come together. I was falling apart. I was way behind, months behind when I wanted to share this with you. My nerves were shot, so I did what I always do when things aren't happening as quickly as I want them to do. I gave myself a deadline. I called Kelly and said, hey, I'm ready for a fitting. There's nothing like, knowing that I have to deliver to get me motivated. I do have 6 other sewing machines that I let students use, so I grabbed one of those, and wow, everything lined up perfectly. Everything lined up almost perfectly. Okay, and then of course, because I'm obsessive, I lay awake at night and I'm thinking, oh God, what if they don't fit? What if they're really unflattering on? What if she doesn't like the fabric that I substituted? Oh no, she won't ever want to do anything with me again, and everybody else will hear about it. It's going to be the end of the world. Right? Yeah, who hasn't done this? I know you've done this too. So we're talking about taking, I think, 3 fingers out. Okay, so the pants needed a few little adjustments. This is actually normal for the first time you try on something that you've sewed. And then, man, they turned out so beautiful. Kelly, I think you did genius here. Anything that I can wear to an art opening and then sleep in, that's a clear win in my view. And I've got to say, when you nail the engineering, the perseverance, the problem solving, it does feel like you can take on the world, or maybe at least some of these environmental challenges that are too big to think about the rest of the time. Well, and if that's too much, maybe just stop losing pattern pieces to the black hole under my desk.
There it is. I knew I'd find it.
Drop a comment if you want to join a cohort for this free 8-week class.